Flickers in the Dark, Episode 36, The Cursed Chronicles.
I'm an antique dealer by trade, a hunter of forgotten relics. The strange and the esoteric appeal to me in ways that most would find disconcerting. There's a lure in the whispers of history trapped within the seams of the dusty artifacts I procure. However, it's one item in particular, a seemingly innocent, leather-bound diary, that has left an indelible scar on my consciousness. The diary belonged to a man I shall refer to as Samuel. Its pages were filled with beautiful calligraphy, recounting his life as a bookkeeper in the late 1800s. Yet, tucked within the mundane descriptions of his everyday life, there were horrifying confessions, too chilling to dismiss as mere flights of fancy. He'd scrawl his true, sinister nature into the book, describing with meticulous detail his heinous exploits. Much like a priest in a confessional booth, the diary became his solace, a place to bare his soul and immortalize his unholy deeds. Samuel claimed to have caused more than 100 deaths over his lifetime. These were no victims of chance, but carefully chosen subjects, people who crossed his path and incited a morbid fascination within him. He'd watch them for weeks, tracing their routines, until one day, they would vanish, their names etched permanently in his diary of death. He'd often visit local inns, places bustling with weary travelers. People drawn from all walks of life, strangers passing by like driftwood in a river, a goldmine for a man with his depraved tastes. Samuel developed an affinity for the lonesome wanderers, those who'd lose themselves in bottles of cheap whiskey, succumbing to the comforting arms of intoxication. Samuel was no bruiser or intimidating figure. He was a slender man, lost in his spectacles and books. His intellect was his weapon of choice. It would be under the cloak of friendship and assistance that he'd strike, offering the drunken loners a helping hand, guiding them to an unmarked grave. As the years passed, his hunger grew. Solitary drunks weren't enough to satiate his insatiable need. He branched out to couples, the newly married or those ensnared in clandestine affairs. He found a perverse pleasure in extinguishing lives teeming with hope and passion. He'd offer them a place to stay, a secluded cottage, away from prying eyes. Only the diary knew what transpired within those cursed walls. And then he told me about a specific case, a young woman known as the Lost Rose of Lancashire. A well-known tale from my hometown. A lady of noble lineage who vanished without a trace, leaving behind a legacy of heartbreak and mystery. Samuel's diary recounted her last moments in chilling detail, a horror story in itself, asserting that it was him who led her to her tragic end. The diary still rests in my collection, a grotesque anomaly among benign historical trinkets. Every now and then, I return to it, sifting through the delicate pages, grappling with the overwhelming fear that the diary's author might just be the world's most unknown serial killer. The knowledge haunts me, keeping me up at nights, torturing my waking hours. But here I am, sharing this with you. I've always believed that there's solace in shared fear, in shared horror. Maybe the specter of Samuel and his cursed chronicles will cease to loom over my sanity now that his secret is out, free to mingle with your nightmares. Keep the lights on, fellow night owls, for the shadows often carry tales too horrifying to bear alone.